Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Roy, you do not make the Florida Panthers underdogs against anybody.
Yeah.
Anywhere, anybody. They go into Dallas last night, 3 goals in the last period, third period, in order to come back. Ridiculous. But the Oddball crew has flown in, and I'm pretty sure the reason the Oddball crew flew in is just because they know that the Jets story that Stugotz had so much dream and expectation for ends with their quarterback retiring to run for a failed vice presidential bid. And
whoa, failed?
Wait a second. With Tyrod.
Let the people decide, man.
With Tyrod Taylor as his starting quarterback. I'm pretty sure that's why Charlotte and Amin flew in today.
Yeah, we just wanted to be here for moral support for Stu.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Yep. The Jets should get a compensatory second-round pick for this, right? I mean,
they should get something. They
right.
should get. Is it a second-round pick or
from who? Congress?
I don't know. Anybody?
No, the league. Look,
the Packers have my second-round pick.
The league should just, because they're like, you know what, Aaron, thank you. We had all that problem with Colin Kaepernick and the flag. Now we've got an active player sort of on the other side of all of this, possibly as a vice presidential candidate.
Well, he'd be independent, so he'd be right down the middle, Dan.
Right.
You don't know where Aaron Rodgers' politics are.
Stop
I
trying
think
to
it's
box
fair
him.
to say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Aaron Rodgers, it's not so much that Aaron Rodgers believes in stuff, it's that he doesn't believe in stuff. His whole platform is like, here are the things that I don't believe in. And RFK Jr. is like, haha, my man. Welcome.
Skeptical.
Didn't he just do this whole thing with Jimmy Kimmel, though, and Jeffrey Epstein? And didn't RFK say he flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane twice?
Let's get that sound real quick here, because I do want to think for a moment about what that cabinet looks like, because you know Randall Cobb's on it.
And so is Bakhtiari.
Yes, yes. Lazard is on it. We might have, who else? Which one of the Packer tight ends is going to be on it?
Jordy
is
Nelson.
Chief of staff, for sure.
Here, this was unusual. The last time I heard from Robert Kennedy, I do not know what the context for this could possibly have been, but they asked him evidently about being friends with Epstein, and he's like, I'll do you one better than that. I was always entertaining rapists.
Yeah. So, and you run into everybody in New York. I mean, I knew Harvey Weinstein. I knew Roger Ailes. I knew O.J. Simpson came to my house. Bill Cosby came to my house.
An odd flex.
It's funny. And not in any way.
Shout out to Andrew Schultz. That's a good get right there. RFK? Wow.
Yeah.
Is it?
RFK Jr.?
Isn't it?
Have we had him?
Well, Pablo declined him. He was offered him and declined him.
Really?
I don't think it's hard to get a guy running for president on your show. I feel like it's the opposite. They're trying to be everywhere.
We've never had a presidential candidate on our show. We had a president, but we didn't know he was going to be a candidate at the time.
Charlotte, you're staring open-mouthed at Amin. Do you want to do that oddball with RFK? Is that something you want to do? The disgraced Kennedy brother?
Absolutely not. I'm just still shocked by that clip. He's literally like, oh, yeah, you want to hear some bad guys? I'll tell you about some bad guys.
Oh, you hadn't seen that?
No.
You had not heard? That's the last time I heard from him. It was last week. It was going everywhere because it's fairly amazing judgment to go that route on that question.
Now, I don't want to recklessly speculate here, but does that mean
Recklessly, speculatively?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
a tough one. Yeah.
Does that mean that RFK Jr. is a Celtics fan, given where the Kennedys are from?
Sure
Okay, well, let's not.
all starting to add up now.
That's neither here nor there. I mean,
Why are you whispering as if you think that's the better way to do this?
That's the worst thing about him, to Amin.
Me?
We have to accuse him of this in silence.
I'm whispering?
he's like, this might
It's
be.
called sotto voce. You should learn it sometimes. You got to mix it up. Sometimes you're loud and sometimes you're soft. And it gets the point across.
Amin was worried that was character defamation. He was going to get sued, so he had to say it quietly.
Thank you for teaching me how to do this. I mean, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
The other story today that everyone is talking about.
There's another story?
There is another story than the idea that we might have an active NFL player running for vice president.
Why do they do this? Like, someone I think asked
the
Steph if
Jets?
he wants to go into politics. He's like, oh, you never know. And like The Rock keeps like, why do celebrities think they want to be president of the United States? It seems like such a hassle.
I know, but one was.
Exactly. That's why.
Yeah, but like, how's that working out?
Well,
Pretty good.
it's about to get reelected.
Everybody like owes $400 million.
Not in jail.
You know what I want to do if I have $500 million? Not owe $400 million.
Or just never be seen again.
Or heard from it. Exactly right.
Like-
Do they just need, like, the ego needs, they need everyone thinking about them and talking about them constantly, that they need to be in politics? Why?
Also, sorry, Dan, I know you're trying to move on from Aaron Rodgers, but I have one more thing. Say this went well for RFK and Aaron Rodgers. What if the Jets also have a deep playoff run
Right.
and the game conflicts with the inauguration? What does Rodgers do?
What do you think he does?
Luckily, they don't have to worry about that because they're still the
From your
Jets.
lips.
A deep playoff run?
Well, either, really.
I have him taking the oath right there at the 50-yard line.
What's more likely, though? Jets AFC Championship game conflict with the inauguration or RFK Jr. elected?
If sports
RFK Jr.
If sports are indeed a mirror for society, I do believe that the open to the Jets season would sort of mirror what that presidential campaign would do, where they have the flag, they wave it at the beginning, and then 4 plays later, everything is shit. Everything is just total shit, but we wave the flag for those few moments, and what we win, we're against vaccines. That's our platform.
They also, if this happens, they did register KennedyRogers.com. And if this happens, guarantee you the picture of Aaron Rodgers carrying the flag out onto the field is the header of the website.
It's a great picture. That is
And then
the
what
thing he
happened?
that
the
is
highlight
The
of
one
my
thing
season.
we
Yeah.
can't dispute that.
that is the highest the Jets have ever been.
It was a great 15 seconds.
Not since Namath, not since Joe Namath in 1969 had the Jets felt as good as they did the moment Aaron Rodgers, in a stadium filled with flashing lights, brought hope expectations to the Jets for 4 plays.
Sorry, Stu.
I hate them.
Also yesterday, though, a lot of people, I'd really like to know from the group, I don't know how much Saban coverage you guys consumed yesterday, but if anyone ended up on the other side of this, because I believe Nick Saban making as much money as he did in that sport and then coming out against the idea of the sport can't be about money the moment I lose control of the money, and everyone can get the money. But when Nick Saban says what I'm about to play here, I want to ask you guys if you heard anyone supporting Nick Saban, any media members, when I think about the disconnect about what college fans might want in terms of freedom in this realm, whether they'd want Nick Saban in charge, and if the media just goes the other way, which I'm going to go as well, where I just point out the hypocrisy again and again of how much money this man made off of the backs of these kids.
All the things that I believed in for all these years, 50 years of coaching, no longer exist in college athletics. So it's always was about developing players. It was always about helping people be more successful in life. My wife even said to me, we'd have all the recruits over on Sunday with their parents for breakfast, and she would always meet with the mothers and talk about how she was going to help and impact their sons and how they would be well taken care of. And she came to me, like right before I retired and said, why are we doing this? And I said, what do you mean? She said, all they care about is how much you're going to pay them. They don't care about how you're going to develop them, which is all what we've always done. So why are we doing this? So, to me, that was sort of a red alert that we really are creating a circumstance here that is not beneficial to the development of young people, which is why I always did what I did. My dad did it. I did it. And that's the reason that I always like college athletics more than the NFL is because you had the opportunity to develop young people. So, and I want their quality of life to be good. I think, as I said before, name, image, and likeness is a great opportunity for them to create a brand for themselves. I'm not against that at all. But to come up with some kind of a system that still can help the development of young people, I think, is paramount to the future of college athletics.
Way to throw Miss Terry under the bus there.
Great tan, though.
Well, he's probably been playing golf every day for the last 2 months.
I mean, you were howling with laughter. I'm assuming that's what the media's response is. I don't think I've been talking for a while about the idea of just greed, resplendent, unwavering greed, not just in sports, but everywhere. Everywhere on the globe has been a rotting contaminant. But when it gets to the kids is when it's a problem. When it gets to college kids want to be paid for it, then all of a sudden Nick Saban is next to Ted Cruz, and he's comfortable going sort of the Tuberville route of what can I do in my region of the country to get the people who I'm surrounded by who believe the college kid should be kept down because it gets in the way of the greater good of Alabama being the best.
But he's not against NIL.
Well, this isn't the first time that he's said this. Remember when him and Jimbo Fisher got into it 2 summers ago and he was like, Texas A&M is buying all their players, and Jimbo Fisher got really upset and bristled at that. Like, this has been, I think, his viewpoint for a while. And I would say probably a lot of people, I can't speak for the media reaction as a whole, but I think a lot of people do think that there needs to be some regulation and restriction to NIL. The problem has always been, how do you do that, and how do you put a cap on athlete compensation for their name, image, and likeness, and who regulates that, and what is that when the coaches have unfettered access to wealth and riches for coaching in the sport? That's always been the issue.
What were you laughing at, Amin?
Oh, so many things. First of all, he was acting his ass off with his voice breaking there, like, oh, the kids, and oh. So that made me laugh. But then I looked at Ted Cruz gazing at him lovingly, and I just thought, how big is Ted Cruz's boner right now? About like, let's not play these black kids. Let's keep them broke for life or whatever. And then the coup de grace is like, that's why I like college football more than NFL. Because I couldn't tell them naysayers what to do. They were getting paid. These ones over here, I could tell them everything. I was like, come on, man. That whole thing was just hilarity. Midway through it, I tried to imagine if this were like 1866. And this is like a former plantation owner. Like
we should have put him in a powdered wig.
No.
Nick Saban should have been wearing a powdered wig.
The Colonel Sanders suit. He should have been dressed like Don Johnson and Django, talking about like, I can't tell them what to do now. All they care about is getting paid. No shit, Sherlock. You got paid for 50 years.
Well, also,
and you've been paying them for 10 years.
Players went to Alabama so they could get paid in the NFL. So it's not like they didn't care about money beforehand. Plus, obviously, players were getting paid in a even less regulated way. And he also went on to talk about parity and like this will make the rich richer and the poor poorer. Like, I don't even know how to begin to unpack that when you've been the head coach at Alabama for like 20 years.
Well, I'm about to.
You are the
no,
rich.
I'm gonna do this for you right now. I'm going to unpack it for you with the details that you might want on this.
That's very nice of you.
I have them all in front of me here because, well, I shouldn't say all.
I hate unpacking.
I shouldn't say all.
I like packing, though.
I don't have them all in front of me. You like packing?
I like packing. It's anticipation. Like, here we go. We're going on a
trip.
trip.
When you're packing, you're going somewhere, presumably fun.
Yes.
You know, maybe on vacation. But when you're unpacking, it's a hassle because you just want to get to the fun. Right? Yeah.
But when you are leaving, do you like packing again? No, right?
No.
It's easier than packing the first time, though.
Really?
You just put all this stuff that you brought in your hotel room back.
Do you separate your dirty clothes and your clean clothes?
Yes, always.
How?
With a laundry bag.
Okay, no, that's what I was asking.
Oh, no, I put a demarcation. I put a T-shirt across the line that marked. I'm like, this is
zipper pocket for me.
If it works out, I do one half of the suitcase dirty, and then the stuff I didn't.
Yeah, that's a good move.
Nice.
Hey, what were those Saban facts?
We're getting to them.
We'll get to
Dirty stuff with the shoes.
2 minutes. Get out of here.
Don't show people that.
Don't show people that. Don't get out.
He's huffing and puffing
Get out.
over here like,
2 minutes.
Get
they're
out.
talking about laundry again.
Get out. I'm huffing and puffing.
You were huffing and puffing.
I was hoping you'd do the next 9 minutes and I could leave because you understood what we were doing here. I wanted 9 minutes unpacking. I wanted 9 straight minutes unpacking. Instead, I've got you showing everybody what the joke is.
Well, you know the good thing about unpacking though,
What?
is that you don't actually have to do it like well. Yeah. Like I'm in a hotel right now to be here with you lovely folks.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. My absolute pleasure. And all my stuff is not unpacked. It's just sort of like messier in my suitcase.
Oh. What's the number of days that you go on a trip that you need to unpack?
More than 3.
I can
More than
push
3.
it.
I'm with Chris.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
3
Wait, but
days or
Billy,
less?
Yeah,
you're,
same.
You're saying unpack and put everything away where it should be, like you're in your room.
When we
right?
went to Super Bowl, I unpacked.
I unpacked.
And
as
I
well.
Oh yeah,
humped
you
it.
have to.
Yes.
But like on a weekend trip, I
Right.
won't.
How many days before the trip do you start packing?
I pack an
Day before.
hour and a half.
Yeah.
Before I leave.
Yeah,
Wow.
Day of.
My
I'm a
wife,
day of
my
person.
wife starts
Yeah.
like 4 days before we leave.
I like the idea of it. Mentally, I start doing that, but it's always a
Yes,
game time
mentally.
decision. And then you're like trying to cram everything. You're sitting on it. Then you do like the extender thing on the bag, and then you have to push it down and close
Sit
the
on the
extender
bag.
thing. Yeah.
My dog is afraid of suitcases, so I wait to put it in the suitcase until minutes before we leave. But I will start folding and organizing days before.
I would argue I'm the best bag closer here.
I would go toe to toe with you, Chris.
No.
I believe that you believe that.
I can when I get my knee on that thing, I'm closing this bag.
Oh, it's game over.
Oh wait, hold on. This is a different game though.
Talking
You
about
think-
a full suitcase that needs to be shut.
Hard
I'm closing
case or
that.
You would be
soft.
my go-to guy
Whatever
on
you
this
need.
show. Yes.
But you're not the most organized packer. That's
No,
what
no,
you're
no,
saying.
no,
You're
no.
the one that can get the bag closed the best.
I
out
don't
of
use
everyone
packing
here.
cubes.
No, me neither. Does anyone? Is it? We need cube people here.
No.
I've dabbled with cubes, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure about them yet. Lucy's a big cube gal.
Yeah.
Cubes, you know, packing is sort of like writing an article.
Yeah.
Because you get an outline in your head, you think about it for a while, you agonize, you put it off, you don't do it, then you start doing it, then you get distracted, then you realize you're about to miss your deadline or your flight, and then packing cubes are the outline of suitcases.
Do I have this wrong about you, Charlotte? Because I don't know you like this, but I would assume that you give off a little bit like your entire life is I've got to pack 90 minutes before I'm going to wherever my next 90 minutes are going. Like you're always chasing sort of the bags in your life.
He says you seem scattered.
100,000%. I don't know if I've ever been more accurately pegged than you're always chasing the bags in your life 90 minutes.
Okay.
Before, but I will say I'm pretty good at hitting a deadline.
I want to ask a number of different questions of the audience here. Is your dog afraid of your bag? Because I don't think Willow's afraid of your bag. I think Willow doesn't like it when you leave, and your bag represents that every time.
Correct.
They know.
Yeah.
Willow does not
Yes.
like when you leave the house, and that's that she's got no fear of bags if she's allowed to be around the bags and go with the bags, but she doesn't know where those bags go. She knows Mommy takes them with her, and then Willow's alone. She fears that more than
Severe
anything.
separation
Those bags,
anxiety.
those bags connote leaving without me.
Some really good doggy psychology, Dan.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes. I thank you. I'm an expert in this realm. One of the few. I also want to ask the question, though: do you like packing? Yes or no? And I also want to ask the question: when do you like packing more? To go for the trip or to get back home? Because there seems to be some disagreement here. I'm happy that Amin is back. I do want to ask you guys a question. I mean, yes, because I do want him to be here this hour and help the show with not whispering and not revealing all
That's
of the
how you
innards
do
of
it.
the
You
show to
hide it.
everybody.
Right.
He gets it.
But if you can put on, if you can, someone look this up for me, because you mentioned Don Johnson and Django, and I really do think like his last 9 roles are just racist. Like he's being I think he's done like the last. I think he was a Klansman in one of the, Tarantino's other movies when they couldn't see anything because the pillowcases didn't work right. But I'm pretty sure Don Johnson's like last 5 or 6 roles wasn't he? What was that HBO, the 1 season or 2 seasons, The Watchers?
The Watchmen. It was
The
Watchmen, right?
Yes, The Watchmen. Wasn't he also a racist in The Watchmen?
Yes, I believe so.
He's just
I feel
going
like
around.
there's a lot of roles for you in Hollywood if that's what your typecast as.
Oh, yeah. Very easy role to fill.
It's a safe play, I guess.
Did you know he was a powerboat racer?
What?
Whoa, Miami Marina?
Well, I don't know,
Stadium?
Justin. Compared to, according to, that's how words work, his Wikipedia, in 1986, Johnson received his first motorsport victory. He won a 1,100, not Miami, mile powerboat race up the Mississippi River.
It was in Mississippi?
It's close.
So
not donating to the Canes NIL fund. And that's how we bring it back to college football, Dan.
He was in a movie called High Heat, and I missed it. I mean,
I just saw that.
I know.
Put it on
Looks
the
great.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Can you believe that Stugotz missed the movie High Heat? So here are some facts for you on Nick Saban. Okay,
Hold on. High Heat synopsis. Ray and Anna, husband and wife, own and operate a restaurant together on their opening night. Both of them are keeping secrets, however. Ray is in debt to the mafia, and Anna is an ex-KGB agent.
Right.
Both secrets are revealed when the mafia sends people to kill Ray, but Anna fights them off. Ray and Anna must work together to save their restaurant and their lives.
How'd I miss it? I mean, seriously.
Sounds like Frozen 3.
What year was this?
2022.
2022. Oh,
I thought you were
going to
say 1987.
And Liam Neeson's not in this?
No.
There's been a big movement in Hollywood lately to have like the woman lead role be like secret agent or former secret agent that then goes in and saves the world.
It's called inclusiveness, I think.
I don't think
Inclusion.
Is it?
I don't think it's that.
Well said.
Is it?
What happened?
To say that confidently, that poorly, is the Amin experience first hour when he's just off the flight and he's tired. This happens every time he lands. He thinks he's just going to get on the treadmill at 100 miles an hour, and he's just a little slow and whispering, and then he gets mad at me for pointing it out. These numbers, though, Stugotz, on Nick Saban, because maybe none of these are surprising to you. This is just what's known. I would like for you guys to look up for me what the second highest paid state employee in Alabama has been over the last 20 years, because he made $124 million in contracts at just Alabama, and Stugotz was probably underpaid.
Yep.
He had a country club membership paid for by the university, so that's taxpayers. He's got 2 full-sized cars for business and personal use, and no one knows whether those were part of the Ferrari collection he would show to recruits, but he would show a Ferrari collection to recruits. I don't imagine Nick Saban with Ferraris, but maybe you did. He has 24 hours a year on non-commercial airlines, so anytime he wants a private plane, basically he can do it. His salary the last season was $11.4 million, and I'm guessing there's no college coach who made more in endorsements. It's estimated at $5 million. He'd get $75,000 for appearing in the SEC championship game, $125,000 if he won it. He'd get $65,000 for appearing in any bowl game at all. He bought a mansion recently on Juniper Island for $17.5 million. The $5 million in endorsements is a guess, but it's got to be more than any other college coach of any kind. And in 2013, 10 years ago, and we don't know how many more of these arrangements there are, right? Because guys like this get paid $200,000 for showing up and making a corporate speech. Just shaking hands with your CEO for 30 minutes, he gets $250,000 at least. The Crimson Tide Foundation was started, a private foundation set up to help fund athletics at Alabama. They spent $3.1 million to just buy Saban's 4-bedroom, 4.5-bathroom home, and he continued to live in it. So they just bought his house as well. And nobody had this deal. And then there's this one. This one's good too. And by the way, deserved, earned for the CEO of this business. His contract called for him at the University of Alabama to meet each February to calculate the average salaries of both the 3 highest paid head coaches in the SEC and the 5 highest paid coaches nationally. If Saban's total salary was lower than either of those 2 averages, his pay would rise to match the higher one. So inflation was not going to cause Nick Saban to ever be like Jared Goff was, where he was the highest paid. No, Nick Saban's always the highest paid according to whatever you're paying people at that rate. What's the other argument on the other side of this?
And that's why I like college more than the NFL.
Mahomes should take notes from that.
Instead of cutting salary?
No, I'm just saying, he should be doing that for all the quarterbacks in the league with the Chiefs.
But this and then he leaves, and Steve Sarkisian gets the same sort of deal at Texas.
Well, he had leverage. I mean,
I need for you, Chris Cody, please, before the end of the show, to just find for me the way that I stumbled through the names of Sarkeesian and Tuberville, because Stugotz, as soon as the microphones went off, says to me, howling, that's why I call him Sark, Dan.
It's easier, man.
That's why everyone calls him Sark.
Never has he looked so wise to me. I'm drowning in my vulnerabilities, and he's like, yes, he's got the obvious second guess as we go right off the air. Amin also, he had the closing line for the last segment because he does not want to leave this Aaron Rodgers topic alone. He's got his cabinet filled out already.
Nice.
And I do want to talk about this a little more, because if we're going to go full-blown crazy as a country, let's go ahead and do it. Let's have it like saturate sports as well. Remember when we said politics are not going to infiltrate sports? We're going to stick to sports. We're going to keep them separate and apart, and we're going to do this by ending racism in the end zone and moving on with our lives. And then the walls cave in, and now the Jets quarterback is being mentioned with Jesse Ventura.
But why my team? Why the Jets? Like, infiltrate somewhere else, not the Jets.
Because the viral strain of crazy that is all over America will infect at least one of the teams, and it just happened to be the most cursed of them.
I'll tell you this. If he runs on a platform with RFK that he will make the Jets better, he'll make the Jets good again, I will vote for Aaron Rodgers. How about that?
Oh. You know what's crazy?
That's how desperate I am. 40 years!
We keep talking about politics entering sports. Nobody had on their bingo card sports entering politics. That's right. The best defense is a counterattack, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to infiltrate Washington, D.C. We're going to put Patrick Ewing in the White House. We're going to put...
that didn't work at Georgetown.
No, it didn't.
That's a bad idea.
Patrick Ewing to D.C.
Why did you just do that?
I don't know.
You just led an insurrection, and we fell down at the gates. Like what?
I can't be a leader, Dan.
Like, what just happened? You were trying to get a mob going.
I was waiting for someone to be like, yeah.
But Patrick Ewing failed miserably as the coach of Georgetown.
I should have started with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know why I went away from it. It's called inclusiveness. Yeah, it is. That's right. That's what it is.
Jamel Hill's going to join us here in a second, but the naivete, because we have clips to undermine our particular echo chamber, okay? Because Pablo Torre started his podcast, which now has a pretty giant following because he caught on to something and people really like the weirdness of what he's doing. Pablo Torre can go all woke and liberal on you, but never forget that he was wearing a whale costume the first time Jesse Ventura appeared on us on ESPN, and we just entertained conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory, smiling, and again, with Pablo Torre dressed as an orca.
You know, I got in all sorts of trouble when I questioned 9/11. Well, I've been vindicated because in the new chapter in the book, the 9/11 report has 28 redacted pages that we're not allowed to see, that George Bush redacted them. Well, Congressman Cook and Senator Graham were on the intelligence. I'm not lobbing it out there. It's what's in the 9/11 report that they won't let us see. There's 28 redacted pages. The grid, they've both told me. All it deals with is...
I are both kind of just shocked and mortified. Pablo's dressed like an orca. Jesse Ventura with us.
That is great.
That's cinema.
That was his profile picture for the longest time. Him as an orca with his fins on his face in shock.
Forgive me again. Forgive me, audio audience. I promise you, this particular thing is better enjoyed visually. I wish to play again, please. The sheer horror. Pablo, beginning his career at ESPN, I believe, is looking into the cameras scared, dressed as an orca because of the words being said just freely years ago. We were ahead of the curve. We were talking politics before anybody at ESPN.
You know, I got in all sorts of trouble when I questioned 9/11. Well, I've been vindicated because in the new chapter in the book, The 9/11 report has 28 redacted pages that we're not allowed to see, that George Bush redacted them. Well, Congressman Cook and Senator Graham were on the intelligence. I'm not lobbing it out there. It's what's in the 9/11 report that they won't let us see. There's 28 redacted pages. The grid, they've both told me. All it deals with is...
I are both kind of just shocked and mortified. Pablo's dressed like an orca. Jesse Ventura.
The best part is that initial, you know how you're in an interview and the interview subject is talking
Half
about
listening.
whatever. You're half listening. You're trying to think of what your next question is. Maybe you're looking up, your fantasy team or whatever. And then you hear something that just snaps you out of that funk. Like, wait, what did he say? And the way he looks up and then looks back at Mike and then looks back at the camera.
You know what's weird though is that was my onboarding for Meadowlark. They made me listen to that clip wearing an orca costume. Yeah. So
how'd you do?
Phenomenal.
Billy, the only other time I remember seeing a face quite that horrified on our air was the day that I was getting suspended, that the director just cut to you in the penalty box as our executive producer for
and
the day.
And I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
And you
classic shot.
But you knew.
Day before I left for my bachelor trip. Fun time.
Video, can you find that, please? I believe it's the single greatest video produced in the history of our broadcasts. I believe... I will remind people, I don't know if they're going to be able to find it before the end of the segment, Stugotz, but you have to find a specific clip that begins with Billy staring all over the place, confused, because a director had purposely taken the camera off of me because I was talking about Trump, and they said, if we just put it on this producer in a colorful penalty box, surely no news outlet will run it this way.
Even though the audio was still running.
Yeah, correct. That's also not how it played out.
But
because my face
not
was all
unlike
over
Jesse
the place.
Ventura talking about 9/11, I don't know what the audio will be specifically, but comedically, I think it'll work perfectly with the video of a scared Billy looking around in charge and unable to hear what is happening as the director is saying, take the camera off of him.
Just trying to get to my wedding day a week away.
Scared Billy. Oh.
All right, we'll get that.
He's always scared.
I'm about to say.
No, but this, Billy, you don't think this video is funny? Because I think it's the funniest video we've ever made.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Okay, I'm overselling then. If we do find it, we'll put it in front of the group and we'll have you guys vote. Roy, do you have a thought on this matter?
It was the funniest thing that I've ever seen.
Ever?
Yeah, one of.
I mean, it's very high on the list. A confused Billy wandering around, not able to hear, looking like he's very scared of what I'm saying.
I couldn't hear, but I had a feeling what was coming. I knew. Ish. Oh, boy. There's my face. Chris found it on YouTube.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
It is the funniest thing. You're right.
Yeah, that shirt really tells the story.
Okay, this is Billy in charge. He's supposed to have an IFB in, but I've sent him into the penalty box. And I am now getting suspended for talking about Trump, saying you can't be in front of a chanting crowd saying send her back.
And as you said, Billy can't hear your audio, but you can. He knows what's happening. Like he knows that.
I knew what was coming
something.
after. I knew trouble was headed our way, and I knew I just needed to get on a plane the next day, and that's all I was hoping would happen. I've aged.
Talk to your younger self, Billy.
Billy, I want to tell you it's going to be all right, but I'm still not sure.
Yeah, he doesn't think so. I don't think.
He just ran away.
Someone needs to do something.
He sprinted. All right, get the audio accompaniment and see if it's even funnier than that. Stugotz, I don't know how you feel exactly. I don't know how Jessica feels about the intoxicant of football flooding back into your life yesterday with the transaction. But it really is amazing that football would be such an addiction at this point that their basic admin day, like where they're just like shuffling paperwork all around the league,
right,
is like a day of national celebration for us because we're like, yes, everybody's moving teams. And look, they're all one-year contracts now.
I know we've kind of done this before, but imagine like if we didn't announce all these things and like just week one, You just see Kirk Cousins emerging from the Atlanta.
That was
locker
my
room.
idea last week.
That's
yes,
what I'm saying.
right.
It's just it.
Yes.
I know it's so much fun this time, but imagine the excitement of week 1 if we didn't know all these moves.
Like if the Ravens, they have no idea who their new running back is, and it's revealed opening day, it's Derrick Henry. Oh, my God. That would be great.
Chris, that's a central argument that I have against like the importance of newsbreakers, and do they actually break news, or do they just tell us things that we're going to find out anyway? Like, one way or another, we're going to find out Derrick Henry's a Baltimore Raven. I didn't need Adam Schefter to tell me that.
But a team press releases, I'd rather just have it from Adam. If it's going to be the run out of the tunnel week 1, then I'm fine not knowing it. But if it's just going to be a team release, I'm cool knowing it with the reporters.
Yeah. You'll figure it out.
Counterpoint, I think that normal companies, instead of the NFL doing things the way normal companies do, which is just like not announce everything all the time because nobody cares. Normal companies should start having like press conferences and TV shows to be like, our new chief technology officer coming out of the tunnel is Jeff.
When I say yesterday was
the last 2 days, really.
No, okay, all right, just whatever.
Right.
Let's make it 3 days.
I wish it was longer.
3 glorious administrative days, 3 work from home days for the NFL. Would you agree with me on we should just start making these 3 days what the draft is, where just agents are coming out and confetti cannons all over the place just all day, farting football content into the sky. Like, just here's your football. We're going to steal these 3 days too at the beginning of March.
Yes.
Charlotte's idea is, it sounds good in theory, but it becomes sad and people are going to get upset when it's this new head of customer service, a 3-year deal for $150K.
$150K?
No, I'm just saying, because like
across 3 years, and then it's actually heavier on the back end, but then they cut them before.
Team option, non-guaranteed deal.
Is their vacation getting paid out? Is that in the press release?
Absolutely not.
The agent has to come out and say, by the way, he got like 4 months of PTO over the lifetime of the deal.
Just keep giving contract little stats.
Think of the news my football team got over the last 3 days. Everyone else is celebrating. My quarterback wants to be the vice president.
Yeah, I'd rather have Russell Wilson.
Adrian would work himself into a frenzy.
Stugotz, why are you and Jessica laughing? What can that come on air, or are you just doing show for yourselves there?
It was one of the worst jokes Stugotz has ever made. We were thinking of athletes who connote the monarchy because offline we were talking about this whole Kate Middleton thing, which we'll get to later. And I was like, Patrick Queen, Prince Fielder, and Stugotz said Harry Carey.
Harry Carey. Wow.
It's a good one. I gave you Tayshaun Prince as well. I mean,
Duke Johnson, by the way.
Not bad. That is a bad. You need to work on your Harry Carey.
Come on.
Yeah,
Better?
A little better.
I gotta
but
find it.
It's rusty. No, it's rusty.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody.
Okay, keep practicing. Keep practicing, and maybe by the end of the segment you will have it so that we can do this correctly. Jamel Hill is with us. We are forming the cabinet, trying to form the cabinet, whether it's Jesse Ventura or Aaron Rodgers for a new presidential run, better than the options that we're given, Jamel. And I want to laugh at this, but I also I don't want to be too flippant about. I mean, is it all jokes, or is there stuff here that I should fear? Just generally fear.
Well, here's the thing: the reason why you feel uncomfortable laughing is because you're looking at what our political world looks like right now, and it would be amusing if it weren't also terrifying. And if it weren't also meaning that we were picking, arguably the most important leader in the world, when you look at all the things that have happened. I mean, we have a presidential candidate who's running, who is facing 91 indictments, who owes so much money because of, liable rape allegations, because of what he owes the state of New York. I mean, like, there's so much there that you now look at the possibility of Aaron Rodgers being a serious vice presidential candidate and say to yourself, well, it's not the weirdest thing that we've seen, because look at our current politics. So there are some jokes to be made, but there's also a part, I think, running through everybody's mind is saying, like, okay, this is jacked up, but I could actually see it happening. Maybe not in winning, but like this seriously becoming a campaign.
Jamel, I would say that one of the great jokes of the cosmos is the idea that your last 8 years dedicated to journalism, blew off sideways because you said the tamest of things that now has been like mushroom. That is mushroom clouded into I just said this one little thing of this is white supremacy here, and now it's mushroomed into 91 felonies and it's kind of amazing how tame your controversy is now, given that it was just a few years ago and it seemed like a big deal at the time.
Yeah, if anything, you could say I took it easy. I mean, really. I mean, calling him a white supremacist is the least of the troubling things that we have come to later discover about Donald Trump. But unfortunately, the unfortunate part of his presidency, and there are many unfortunate parts, but one of them is that now I think a lot of people feel like they can do the job, that they deserve to be in political office because he won. And because now he's considered he's obviously the GOP frontrunner. If you're Aaron Rodgers, regardless of the numerous idiotic things that you've said, why would you think you don't have a chance at this? Our political cycle literally proves you have a great shot at perhaps becoming the vice president, simply because of your name, simply because he has a legion of people who do not mind his bullshit. So here you go. Congratulations, Aaron Rodgers.
Jamel explaining her controversy now is like me trying to explain why 2007 NBA All-Star Game was so crazy, because people were smoking weed out in public. So you say it and people are like, and? No, you don't get it. Back then, that was crazy. Now it's like, yeah, so you just another day.
Or just the idea in general, I mean, of sports being in Vegas, right? Like major, legitimate sports happening, not boxing, not what we normally see. They're like, there was an NBA All-Star Game there, and people thought that was quite controversial. It's like, really? They have every team now. I don't even understand this. So yeah, some things practically, I guess in the reverse, don't age well.
Let's play for Jamel here. Speaking of, everyone can run for president now, because I saw that The Rock was making fun of Ronaldo because Ronaldo buys his followers, and The Rock has, like, people think The Rock could be president because he's popular enough. And so here's Steph Curry not ruling it out. Listen to this.
Do you have an interest in politics?
I have an interest in leveraging every part of my influence for good in the way that I can. So if that's the way to do it, then I'm not saying the presidency, but if politics, that's maybe, but I'm saying if politics is a way that you can create meaningful change, or if there's another way outside of politics, that we can do.
You're not ruling it out?
No.
2028, you never know.
Not that soon.
Not that soon, okay.
Okay, he's not going to do that.
He'd
Sure?
win.
I mean, not ruling it out. He's just giving a televised answer. Like,
I could have said definitely not.
No, I could.
Yeah, like the option is it's me to say no, Dan. You could be like, politics, that's absurd, but he sort of entertained it.
I can't wait to play back Dan saying he's not going to do that when Steph Curry's running for president.
President Curry. Oh my God.
He literally hit her with a "you never know."
What do you mean? Didn't you guys didn't hear that the same way? Where Steph Curry seems he is publicly polite, and so he wants to do good, but not president. You think Steph Curry is going to be like a cabinet member?
Draymond Green, Secretary of Defense.
Yes. Yep.
Easy call. Easy call.
Mm-hmm.
No one will mess with us.
Imagine if Steph was just like, what a stupid question. Let's move on. He's never going to say that.
Steph can't say that.
See, that would be him denying it.
Right.
If he's just like, that's absurd. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. But he's just like, no, 2028's too early.
Jamel, what do you make of the normalization of scandal? The idea that everyone now thinks they can be president. All you have to do is have your audience.
Dan, this is just a continuation of what we're already seeing in other sectors of our society, right? A lot of people now think they could be journalists just because of social media, and they've been able to step into that lane. You see probably on these red carpets now, we just had the Oscars, you probably see way more influencers than you do, people who are legitimate entertainment reporters. I mean, social media and the ability to captivate and have and maintain an audience has become the premium factor to how we're deciding things. Again, using Hollywood as an example, there are people, and actors talk about these things both privately, and some are brave enough to say it publicly, is that there are studios that would rather put an influencer in certain roles in movies and TV shows because they know that they can attract an audience. They don't care if they're trained. They don't care if they have the chops to actually act for longer than 30-second clips. That person brings an audience to the table, and therefore that legitimizes them. And so, yes, we are in a time where the idea of picking a quarterback, by the way, who at some point lectured to everybody about how that he didn't want any distractions and how the Jets and everything should be all about business and all about football. And now we see behind closed doors, he's been having talks about, one of the most important positions that you can hold in this country. But I just think we're at a point in society where if you can capture and have an audience, you can practically be considered for anything.
Jamel, on to more important things. On your Instagram account, you and your husband told a story about going to a restaurant. Your husband came out and the valet said, "Wow, what do you do for a living?" Because your husband was dressed real nice and a nice car pulled up or whatever. And you guys had a disagreement on whether this was a compliment or whether this was, in fact, oh, what do you do? So did you get to the bottom of it? I know you opened it up to your followers to answer and leave comments. Did you get to the bottom of whether this was, in fact, a compliment or not?
Okay, well, but I guess before I give the answer in the context, I mean, do I get the neighborhood race lady music? Because
yeah, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Yes. 1 second. Chris Cody, good work. Good work as always.
It's time for your friendly neighborhood race lady.
You're good.
Thank you for producing our producer. He seemed to be texting somebody at the time.
What was the question?
So here's the situation of what happened. My husband and I, we had a little date night last week. We went to this very wonderful restaurant called The Linden here in Los Angeles and had a great time. We're coming out to leave the restaurant, and my husband is a little bit ahead of me because I think I might have gone to use the bathroom. So I came out a little later. And in the car, he explained to me that as soon as he handed the valet ticket, and his car was parked right outside, he said, "Is that your car?" And my husband said, "Of course, yes, that's my car." And he's like, then he asked him, what did he do to get a car, basically like that. And I was coming out, I guess, right after he asked him this, and I just heard my husband say, "Get you a good woman in your life." And because I think that valet also said, "Any advice?" as well. He's like, "What'd you do to get a car like that? Any advice?" And he said, "Get you a good woman in your life." Now, I threw this out as a debate on social media, on Instagram, on my Instagram account, because when you're Black and you're in certain spaces or you have certain things, a lot of people look at you like, "How did you get in this room?" Or "How did you get that?" Like, something isn't adding up. This doesn't fit the picture of how I thought Black success would be, if you even thought Black success was attainable. And so I kind of took offense to him asking. My husband was like, "No, I think he meant it genuinely." And so I put it out there for people to, debate and give me their thoughts and perspective. The number one question that was asked: what was the ethnicity of the person who asked it? That was number one, okay? And so I will tell everyone who either has gone to my Instagram or will go now after this conversation, the valet who asked was Latino. So I don't know how that impacts how people think about the situation, but I just know that there is, to me, a fine line between genuine, legitimate curiosity, and then on top of that, or between genuine, legitimate curiosity, and then kind of being a little too intrusive, and perhaps a question like this coming off, the wrong way. Because like, this has happened to me so many times where people are like, "Well, how'd you do that? Like, how are you in first class?" Or "What do you do for a living?" And I really hate that. And especially from my husband, who is often confused for a professional athlete. And one time somebody was it's true.
He loves
it's like,
it, though.
they're like, so he's checking all the boxes. It's like, Black dude, nice car, good physique. They're like, surely he plays for the Ravens. It's like, no, he's in medical devices. What can I tell you? Sorry, it's not more glamorous than that. But, he, of course, like Amin said, like, he's like, "I got a nice body and I'm glad they confused me." But I'm like, "No, babe, you have to see the racism in this. Why do you got to be a professional athlete? Why can't you own a dry cleaner? Like, why do you have to, why does some ball sport have to be involved?"
Goodbye, race lady.
Friendly neighborhood race
Thank
lady.
you. This is what it's like being married to me.